There is a new crowd of protesters that has been building.
CNN had it that these were rallies. Now they've become protests. I'm afraid that by tonight they become riots.
That video from the White House on X also posting looting isn't justice, burning cities is not free speech, and what's happening in Los Angeles are not peaceful rallies, but, quote, third world insurrection riots on American soil. And joining us now to discuss this and some more headlines on the Hill is Washington insider Armstrong Williams. Good morning to you, sir. Good to see you.
Good morning, Jen. Good seeing you.
Your take on what we're seeing right now in Los Angeles and really across the country with these riots breaking out over ICE raids?
The fact that Mayor Karen Bass has a curfew in place only gives credibility to what the president is saying. And there's a reason why Greg Abbott in Texas is also deploying the National Guard. We have no idea who's infiltrated our country, who's funding them, what their ultimate goal is, destroying businesses, vandalizing. And what you realize when you watch a lot of this footage, Jen, it's a lot of these people they don't care about. They have no principled position. They just care about stealing free stuff. That's all they care about. It's outrageous.
And the White House really posted that video, too, to sort of spotlight the bias from some media outlets that, initially were saying, these were peaceful rallies. And speaking of the bias, the White House also now, calling out journalists. They called out former ABC News veteran correspondent Terry Moran for his post calling Trump and Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller world-class haters. Were you surprised, though, that they parted ways with Moran so quickly and yet did not with George Stephanopoulos after the network paid $16 million to settle a lawsuit for his false statement that he made?
Well, you would have assumed after the fiasco with Stephanopoulos that the journalists there would have learned and would have adhered to ABC's standard. And obviously, they were given another chance. Obviously, in his arrogance and his hatred of Trump and Stephen Miller, he really didn't care. And so he got just what he deserved. Of course, I'm not surprised they moved swiftly. But the problem is the establishment media, people like Maxine Waters and Gavin Newsom have become the enablers for these people to make them believe that they can do what they do. And then you have councilmen in Los Angeles encouraging this behavior to protest and defy ICE. I think if you do more of what you're doing in New Jersey and arrest these legislatures and have them face court hearings, I think you will see a change because they're the ones that are enabling them and lighting the fire under them that they can get away with this. And it has to stop.
Another big headline is the apology from Simone Biles to Riley Gaines after Biles got real nasty and personal during their online feud of biological men competing in women's sports. Biles was slammed with a ton of comments that she played the woke card and destroyed her brand. Can she come back from this?
America believes in redemption. Obviously, Simone has never competed against a woman, a man pretending to be a woman. And so she has no idea what it's like up close and personal. And, people get emotional. There are people in your ear encouraging them to do something like this. And obviously she apologized. She regretted it. She could not perceive what the fallout would be. And she will pay a price. But does she deserve to come back? I mean, she's a decorated athlete. She made us proud during the Olympics. I pray that she gets a second chance.
Big weekend in Washington, D.C. with the Army's 250th anniversary parade. Armstrong, you going to be here for that?
Of course, our men and women, armed forces sacrifice for us every day, Jen, to make what we do, our freedom, to make it possible. I mean, you look at what law enforcement is going through. I mean, not only am I celebrating the Army, I'm celebrating every law enforcement official, intelligence official that put their lives on the line every day and have to deal with this battering, these bricks, these rocks, this disrespect that we see every day.
Do you have concerns about security? I know you're going to be there and you're going to be reporting on this and you're going to be taking lots of video. Any concerns about security?
I have a simple philosophy. Fear and faith cannot exist today. I trust the Lord in all things I do. And whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. I will be there no matter what the consequences are.
Amen.
I stand with America.
I love that. Washington insider Armstrong Williams. Great to see you, sir. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jen.
Days of riots, hundreds of arrests, and finally some curfews in place across the country with demonstrators and activists causing chaos with violent protests against ICE raids. Joining us now to discuss this and more is President of the National Border Patrol Council, Paul Perez. Paul, great to have you on this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
What began in LA clearly spreading across the country now. How does this complicate operations even more for border and ICE agents?
Well, what it does is it takes us off being able to do strictly the enforcement arrests that our agents and officers were engaged in. Now we have to go into force protection mode and protect our officers, our agents, and our buildings. So this is something that is completely unnecessary, but the Democrats are allowing it to happen in these blue cities and states, and it's something that President Trump is not going to tolerate.
How are your officers right now? What's the morale like?
The morale on the front lines is great. It's the highest that it's ever been. Under the Biden administration, it was the lowest that I've ever seen in the 28 years that I've been with the agency. And under President Trump, it's the highest it's ever been, and it's only been a few months.
Yeah. Why do you think it took the LA mayor so long to implement a curfew in LA? And what is your message to Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsom?
It's complete dishonesty. Anyone who refuses to condemn the violence, the rioting that's going on, these protests are everything but peaceful. And so I think it's purely politics. There's no other reason for them to look at what's going on and refuse to condemn it and refuse to act. The federal government under President Trump's leadership stepped up because we are not going to allow the chaos that happened under the previous administrations when they allowed the cities to burn. We're not going to have that on our watch.
A federal judge is going to hold a hearing today on Governor Gavin Newsom's request to block the Trump administration from using the National Guard and the Marines to assist with security and protecting your agents and also residents there in Los Angeles. How do you see this playing out?
I mean, if they look at the facts, if they take politics out of it, we've seen a lot of judicial activism. If they look at purely the facts and what's going on the streets, it should be an easy win for the Trump administration. How
so?
Well, I mean, you know, the chaos, everything that's going on, the violence against our officers and agents, the Molotov cocktails, you know, spitting, hitting, everything they can, the rocks that they've been throwing at our vehicles and our agents and officers. Local law enforcement, state law enforcement, federal law enforcement's all been engaged. And it's something that if they take a look at exactly what's going on, there should be no injunction, there should be no stays, there should be only the ability for the Trump administration to continue protecting American cities.
In fact, President Trump has already said, there's going to be more immigration raids and that any more violent demonstrations will be met with more troops, more law enforcement. How would you advise the president on how to keep your agents safe?
Number one, don't back down. We cannot allow chaos and lawlessness. This would only incentivize and encourage future protesters to do the same thing. We cannot reward bad behavior by backing down. So we need to stay the course and make sure that our officers and agents are protected while they're doing the job of enforcing the law that Congress put into place.
And what kind of intel do you guys have right now as to who some of these protesters are? We keep hearing, there are some groups that are involved that are getting paid by certain organizations, that they're professional protesters, that they are being told to be confrontational with police and cause violence and cause chaos. What are you hearing?
There's no doubt, and even Democrats will say it. There are these professional agitators that show up at all of these protests and create chaos. They're doing it for certain organizations that have no other, nothing else to do but try to make sow chaos and anarchy in the streets. So we know that they're being paid. We know that these are agitators. We know that they're coming out and doing these things and riling up everybody else. So we're going to take them down as well. This isn't going to stand in under President Trump's term. It's not going to happen.
All right, President of the National Border Patrol Council, Paul Perez, great to have you. Hopefully you and your guys stay safe. Thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it.